National University Department of English Education. I'm teaching English grammar in my university, and my major is English grammar and semantics. So nice to meet you here. I'm very impressed with the former presentation topic. And let me tell you my topic of presentation is, as you see, it is passive voice. How much do you know about that? We all know just P plus passive participle. So then, do you know why and we usually use passive form? From now on, I will tell you the reason and its functional usage. So my topic is a discussion on the importance of functionality in the English passive with meaning and pragmatics. Let me tell you why I have started this study. One day, a student came to me and asked a question. Professor, are these sentences are the same meaning? The sentence is one, I hit my brother. And the second one is, my brother was hit by me. In fact, the two sentences is not the same thing, because the subject and the agent are not the same. So, but we have told our students active voice is the same meaning and passive voice. So this made me study the use of passive voice. Look at the screen, please. The purpose of this study: reconsideration of grammatical education focusing on form. And second, remind that the key of language lies in efficient communication and the importance of communicative context. Third, have another point of view of passive voice in terms of semantic and pragmatic in addition to syntactic aspect. And then, why should we have an emphasis on passive voice on semantic aspect? The pursuit of contextual grammar education and the passive is very strong in use of our sentence. And the last one, why, when to use, and how to use. Reason to use of the passive. First, when subject is unknown or obvious and not important. Look at the example sentence. The building was vandalized. Vandalized meaning is destroyed. Why and who? We did not know. And the airplane was invented in early 20th century. Why and who? Also, we did not know. The only important thing is an airplane. Second, to shift the focus of subject. I made some paragraph. Coca-Cola was invented by a pharmacist named John Pemberton. His original recipe contained cocaine, which is why the drink was named Coca-Cola. Today, Coca-Cola is a global brand that is consumed by millions of people. Where do you want to focus? Where do you want to place the subject or object? Connected ideas and flow of the sentence, that is coherence and sentence flow. And third, sentence variety, stop boring sentence. For example, he did A, then he did B, and after that he did C. That's a boring sentence. So we can make another sentence with passive voice. Discourse, meaning, and pragmatics. Why should we focus on passive voice with functional and discourse aspect? It's difficult to identify the complex and delicate structure of the language just by a form, without the function of meaning. Kim Jong-taek, one scholar, said, Korean is a language that highly depends on theme, because Korean lacks mood, voice, and definition of gender and number. So it cannot help relying on a theme. Korean is developed grammatically rather than syntactically. In this respect, we can assume that how difficult Korean learners use English passive voice. So this difference is enough to explain the difficulty in Korean learning. So when we do usually use passive, according to Salesmercier and Larson Freeman's scholars, first, the agent is easy to supply and therefore not expressed. For example, oranges are grown in California. Second, to emphasize the receiver or result of the action. 6 people were killed by the tornado. We don't need to know about the subject. And third, to make the state sounds object without revealing a source of information. For example, it is assumed, it is believed that we will be on time. I think English learners or using English people most frequently use like this phrase. It is assumed that, it is thought that, it is believed that, especially general or specialized theory. And fourth, to retain the same grammatical subject in successive clause, even though the function of the noun phrase changed from agent to theme. For example, George Frame beat Jay Fraser, but he was beaten by Ellie. Fifth, the theme is given information and the agent is new information. What a lovely scarf. Thank you. It was given to me by James. That is the coherence and sentence flow. Sixth, to avoid identifying the agent because they do not want to assign or take a responsibility. My letter has not yet been answered, especially official speech. The principle of passive voice, first theme is end focus principle. That is information flow. Look at the simple sentence. John is married to Mary. Mary is married to John. The meaning depends on which one the speaker uses as given information. When the speaker chooses John as a given information, the first sentence can be acceptable. While the speaker wants to choose Mary as given information, the second one is reasonable. As a part of the principle and weight in English, there's a feeling that the predicate of clause should, where possible, be longer than the subject. Thus, a principle of structure compensation comes in force. That is the end focus information flow principle. Next, empathy. Empathy is Kuno scholar linked passive into discourse. He said that the speaker always put the most important element into a subject position, and it can harmony with whole context. Let's look into the sentence. Bill was asked to drive slowly by now. As we see the sentence, speaker's empathy is located in subject Bill. It can be explained by surface structure empathy hierarchy. It is easier for a speaker to have empathy for the subject. That is, it's impossible to feel the empathy for object or by agent because of hierarchy principle. Third, topics. Passivization is the process by which a non-agent is promoted into the role of the main topic of the sentence, and the extent that the language processes coding properties which identify main topics as subject and that distinguish them from topics. Then this promotion may also involve subjectivization. Koreans have a few big holidays, and one of them is Chuseok. Chuseok is something like Thanksgiving Day in Korea. It falls on the 5th day of the 8th lunar month and is celebrated by all the people. We can easily know that the topic is in this sentence. What is the main topic of the sentence? Chuseok. The topic in the sentence Chuseok appears as the subject. The subject is related to the main topic. English is subject prominent language, so there is a high possibility that the subject of the sentence will be a topic. Conclusion. English passive construction is interrelated with the principle of discourse function of human language, which cannot be fully accounted for by pure synthetic grammar. Second, the purpose of this study is to help better understanding about usage of passive voice. And third, through this study, we can realize that when to use passive voice and why we should passive voice correctly. And last one, when the passive voice is properly used in the functional and discourse context with syntactical construction, English grammar education will get more flexible approach